Hi there. Today I want to demonstrate some of the things I've been working on integrating GPT experiences into Sitecore. For today's demonstration, I'm working in my local XM cloud environment, but nothing I've built would not work in XM or XP. Now, I'm a big fan of things like ChatGPT and being able to have conversations and refine things and figure things out. The issue with integrating Sitecore is really having that GPT language model understand details about our items and details about our content that it could use as a context to answer questions. I'm using Azure OpenAI services, so I do have the ability to sync data, and I will need to do that to train my model at some point, but it's probably too much to think about to try to sync all the data within Sitecore into it. And even if you did that, that data is changing all the time when you're adding content and things like that. So really what I needed was a way to provide that context of the item that you're on to GPT so that you can have a prompt and really know stuff about that content item. So what I've done is I've built a hook to an interface that will know the item and allow you to kind of build your own custom pipelines to create that context. So as an example, like our standard home item, right? What I've done is I've added these as scripts through the PowerShell extension point. And I'm calling this Sitecore Guru for now. I don't know if that's the name that's going to stick. But I have a number of prompts that all come with context. I'll show you how all of that works in a little bit, but let's go with suggest keywords. So say we have this page, you can see there's some content here. We want the prompt to, well, let me just do it and I'll show you. I've built this nice interface. I actually borrowed heavily from an article about building a ChatGPT-like interface, so I'm not going to take credit for any of the look and feel stuff, but it does look pretty good. And you can see all I'm asking is based on the textual fields of the item and linked items, tell me what keywords should be placed in the meta keywords fields for the page. So I actually have a pipeline that goes and gives details to ChatGPT about that item, all its fields and all its content. It even goes as far as going to the presentation details and looking at related data sources to go do that. And it's also asking for related keywords that should be considered to be added to the context. And you can see the result is actually pretty relevant. And we can continue the conversation. Like we could say, can you give me some article topics to target those related keywords, as an example. I can maximize this. So really cool that you can continue the conversation. You can ask more questions. You can say, why did you select those keywords? And you can see I've customized it with a little Sitecore icon, and that's a little Sitecore Betty icon to represent who we are, right? So very relevant. The interface is pretty cool. It even has a light mode if you prefer that. So this integration I thought worked pretty well. We can really think through the type of context that we want, and I'll show you how that works and the things. But what I really wanted to do is use it to generate code. I wanted to be able to let's go to a rendering, right? And I have some sample ones here, right? Like a hero, right? And this one, like if you think about it, I mean, this is already a JSON rendering, but we know stuff just based on this, right? We know the rendering parameters templates, right? We know the data source template. And even if we just look at that data source template, we should be able to scaffold out a React component. So let me go to that script, scaffold the React component. And this has a different context pipeline that will actually go get details on that. And if we could look, it actually generates some TypeScript. And we could look, I mean, I've kind of tuned this a little bit, and we can continue to adjust and tune to try to get better output. This is the one area that probably not perfect. I don't think the output is exactly what I'd like, but I mean, you can continue to refine it here and here, here in this chat. So, for instance, like it's defining props from promo props. Like I'm not even sure why it's calling it promo props. So I could say, can you name promo props hero props and provide the source for its definition. So, I mean, you can continue it. It has the ability to generate it. This probably needs a bit of work. It also probably will benefit the most from creating some source data to show it what good React components look like and training the Azure model. So that's kind of next on my list of things to do to get this to improve. But you can see this kind of gives you some capability there. But I also thought about, what if I had an MVC component and I just wanted to convert it? Like if we look at this test rendering, this is just one I set up with a very simple CSHTML file. It's actually able to go get that file source and read it. So we can give a context that has the file source. So we could say convert MVC rendering to React. That's another thing I should probably think about, is hiding options that don't make sense based on the template type. So works similarly. And there you go. So how do we do this, right? So quite simply, that modal is really just a page, and I'm just using a PowerShell component to do that. And let me open one of those options. So like here is the suggest keywords one. And you can see we're just going to this Guru ASPX page with the item ID, with the pipeline ID, and the prompt ID. And that gives me everything I need to know, and I can combine different pipelines with different prompts, and the item is just the item that we right-clicked, right? And all that's defined under System, Modules, Sitecore Guru. And you can see different pipelines. These are actually just Sitecore pipelines. So all it has is the name of the pipeline that gets executed. And I'll show you how what happens in them is defined. And then we can have some parameters. I'm going to add a parameter for things like temperature so that you can control the output and how much creativity GPT uses. But each individual pipeline processor that we have that adds the context could refield from the parameters. The prompts are just text, right? So that just makes it easy to kind of have your default prompt out the gate give you exactly what you're looking to do. Now, you may notice this batches here. This isn't currently functional, but my idea here is let's define the items we want to run this against, a pipeline and a prompt, and then have it go run that as a batch, generate the file output, so that you can get the results all at once. And I figured this would be good if we are trying to convert a number of like MVC components or scaffold about a bunch of React components all at once instead of doing them individually. So that's the idea. So how does this all work? All right. So if we go to pipelines, we have a set of pipeline args, right? Which gives context to each processor. So it's just an item, the parameters, and the context statements that we want to return. So then we have different processors. Like here's a processor that takes that and basically goes through all the fields and just gives you the names and the types. Right? Here's ones that also gives you the value if you want the value. Right? Basic item info. Right? This is the current item with an ID, path, template. Here's one that gets that view rendering source. It's mapping the path and reading the file and putting it into the context. So we can continue to build out these pipelines and define what happens in each of them. So I have one for like a view rendering context and a web page context. And what will happen is before it does a prompt, it'll go get that data about the Sitecore item, about what each of these processors is returning, and it provides it to GPT as the context. So when you ask the prompt, it knows everything that's coming from that. And that's really it. Pretty straightforward. So this is just kind of proof of concept stage. Let me know what you think. Any other ideas for use cases or usage or prompts or contexts? Definitely looking to see what we could do with this thing. But yeah, want to hear from you. Thank you.